Welcome to part 3 of our study called The Two Trees, and today we're looking at a section called The Obligations, and that's Genesis 2 verses 15 through 17. So now let's turn to the obligations that are put on Adam. First, Adam is to work, and we see that in verse 15. Adam is put in the garden to work and to keep it. As often is pointed out, God gave Adam work before the fall. Work did not come as a result of man's sin. It's just now a lot harder. It's often not a joy. But Adam's work was perfectly suited for him and would have been an eternal joy to perform. This reminds us that none of us were created to be idle, but work is good. And so we see this is the first obligation placed on Adam. The second obligation is that Adam is to obey God's command perfectly. There's no option to opt out. And we see that in verses 16 through 17. God said, "You may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat." First, we notice that God commands the man, not the other way around. See that? Like all covenants that God made with man, God spells out the terms. There's no negotiations here. The two parties in the covenant are not equals. God commands and man must obey. Second, God tells the man to eat of every tree of the garden. The man is to enjoy, with freedom, any fruit from any tree that he likes. If you wanted to eat an apple, you can eat an apple. How about bananas on Tuesday? Sure, go ahead. So, third, we see that God gives the man a rule or law or obligation here. He can eat of all the trees except one. It is God's prerogative as creator and superior to give laws or obligations. Since God is omniscient and omnibenevolent, let me say that, to follow what God commands is always good, and it's always good for the one who obeys. It's not going to be a bad thing to follow the command. It would be a great thing. So to just not eat from that one tree was a good thing. It was a blessing for Adam. Next, we see that Adam is to die if he breaks that covenant. And you see that in verse 17. Now, it's clear that from the beginning, Adam could choose to follow God's command, or he could choose to disobey. He had the ability to break the covenant made between he and God. The punishment for a trespass of the command was, in the day that you eat it, you shall surely die. We'll look more into the consequence of breaking the command later on when we get to the account of the fall. But for now, I want you to see that there is a consequence to violating God's command. There was a definite consequence. If you break this command, if you break this obligation that I placed on you, if you disobey, you will surely die. It was made clear. It was clearly stated. This is part of the covenant that was laid out before Adam. Here, eat anything you want, live forever. If you break this one command I gave to you, you're going to die. So that's the laying out of the covenant there, using all that covenant language laid out and really in order of a covenant. Here's your preamble, who the two parties are, who's the superior, who's the lesser. We see the benefits of following God and the covenant, and we see the consequences of breaking that covenant.